Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Well, guys, I don't know what else to say. At this point, there really is nothing left to say. There's nothing left to say that has not already been said about the 2025 Mets, that has not already been said about what we watched there in June and into part of July when they were losing all of those games and they kind of slightly bounced back for a little while there. And now this recent skid, which actually may be even more abhorrent, uglier, and worse than anything that we saw during that stretch in the middle of summer, as the New York Mets continue to plummet into the ground at asteroidical, is that a word? I'll say astronomical speeds. I guess it still applies to being an asteroid. They are falling to the earth as fast as you could snap a finger. This team is dead. Here it is. Stick a fork in the 2025 Mets right here. There you go. The New York Mets are dead. This season is over. I am done. And you can clip this video here for if they do in fact prove me wrong and make the playoffs. I would love to look like a jackass and have people rub it in my face that the Mets turned it around this year and still found a way to make the playoffs. But I cannot fathom this team, the way they have looked, the losses that they have taken, not only throughout the entire season, but specifically this week. I cannot see how they will turn it around and still make the postseason. Another gutless, ugly, embarrassing loss where they blow another lead. That without even mentioning yesterday's game where they blow a 6-0 lead and their starter can't get through the fourth inning when they give up 9 runs to the vaunted Atlanta Braves. The Atlanta Braves, who are 13, 14 games under 500, a depleted starting lineup, a team that every other team in baseball has found a way to beat this year, but not the New York Mets. Not the New York Mets. They cannot get over the hump, this bugaboo, this just exorcism that they need to beat the Atlanta Braves. It's the same cast of characters every time. Matt Olson, Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris, Marcell Ozuna, all finding a way to just poke and prod and find more difficult, painful ways to make us Mets fans squirm. But you know what? No. I'm not even going to get on the Braves, guys. I am not even going to get on my hatred for that franchise, for that organization, because I want to direct all of my anger, all of my emotion at the hapless 2025 New York Mets, who continue to find new horrific ways to lose baseball games. Guys, I feel like this may be the biggest low of the Steve Cohen era. I am not trying to be hyperbolic. I think given the expectations that we set out for this year, given the payroll, given the signature signing of Juan Soto, much more on him later. Trust me on that. I truly believe when you factor all of those things in, this may be the most disappointing part of the Steve Cohen era so far. You had 2021 where it was their first year, obviously the splash for Lindor, and things didn't pan out. They blow the 10-game lead that they had in the beginning of the year, and they don't make the playoffs. They finish under 500. 2023, it's very close. I think 2023 is very close to where we are right now. But given the fact that the Mets were 21, 23 games over 500, and they lose tonight to fall to just 7 games over 500, they now have just a half-game lead over Cincinnati for for the final wild card spot. They spit the bit on opportunities on back-to-back days to gain games on the Phillies, who lost yesterday and lost today. If the Mets could have found a way to just protect a 6-0 lead with David Peterson on the mound yesterday, or to have won this game today, I don't know, maybe that Super Bowl pen that we supposedly acquired at the deadline could hold on to that lead here today. But no, Ryan Helsley goes up in flames in the 8th inning. Tyler Rogers comes in. He allows an inherited runner to score. And the Mets squander an opportunity where if they could have won yesterday's game, where they had no business losing, and today's game, which was more than winnable, they could have found themselves just 3 games back of the Phillies. And instead, they do nothing in the batter's box. They choke on the mound. They play another sloppy and, like I said before, hapless baseball game, uninspired, lethargic, get punched in the face, lay down and take it, no fight, no guts, no balls type of game today, and lose 2 out of 3 to the Braves, whose season has unofficially been over now for probably about a month. This team is dead, and like I said, here it is. Stick a fork in the 2025 Mets. It's over. Let me go to the chat. Rod says, pull the plug, Tony. Pull the damn plug. I'm ready to pull the damn plug on my television every freaking time I have to sit down and watch this Mets team. They are putrid. James Lee says, I hate baseball. I hate baseball too. I actually was so not ready for football season about 2 weeks ago this time. Bring it on, baby. Bring on football season. Cancel the World Series. I don't care. If the Mets can't have it, nobody can. That's how I feel about it. Armand says, per Opta stats, MLB team in the last 30 years to have the best record in baseball in June or later and have a 2-13 or worse stretch in the same season, 2025 Mets and 2017 Dodgers. Well, the 2017 Dodgers did go to the World Series. They lost to the Astros. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Mets are not going to the World Series this year. That is quite evident from what we have seen from this team. But thank you for pulling that stat, Armand. I don't know where do you get some of this stuff. He also says, per Anthony DeComo, the Mets have blown 9 leads in their last 6 games, and they have lost 13 of 15. Thank you, Anthony, for rubbing the salt in the wound. That just makes me feel so much better about this team. Yes, that Super Bowl pen that we assembled, and obviously that also incorporates early leads like the one we had, yesterday when David Peterson was handed a 6-0 lead and couldn't get through the 4th inning, or maybe on Sunday when the Mets had a 5-0 lead against Milwaukee. Oops, also blew that one. Had leads in all of those games, just like they had leads in all 3 of these games against the dead and out Atlanta Braves. But nope, the devil magic lives on. Atlanta continues to find a way to beat and embarrass the brakes off the New York effing Mets, and I can't take it anymore. Brandon Akowski, baseball is horrible. Mets baseball is horrible. You got to make sure you got that right. Mets baseball is horrible, but I'm fully with you. D-Rails, what's up, my man? What's up, my guy? He says, no Vientos SMH. Okay, so the Mets didn't want to trade any of Beatty, Acuna, Vientos, or Mauricio at the deadline, and maybe it was because they didn't get what they wanted in terms of a return for any of those guys, but answer me this, riddle me this, if you will. If you didn't want to trade Vientos at the deadline or Mauricio, why did we barely see them whatsoever this series? Mark Vientos has not started in 4 games and was clearly swinging the best bat out of any of those third basemen recently this week. But you know what? I am so sick of even trying to juggle this act of, well, you got to play that guy because he had a really good series and a really good weekend and a really good week. Because the truth is, all of them have been major disappointments. Beatty, Vientos, Mauricio, a little bit of a pass only because he's still so raw. Also coming off the 1.5 years off from the torn ACL, but also has been wildly inconsistent. So you know what? It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter anymore because none of those guys can find a way to do anything meaningful on a consistent basis. Rod says NYC baseball is dead. LOL Mets and LOL Yankees are now the norm. Baseball in New York, my goodness, how the mighty have fallen, man. These two teams in the middle of June were competing for the best record in baseball. They were jockeying for that top dog spot, and ever since then, both teams are horrific. But I am not going to say a word about the Yankees. I am not going to schadenfreude and enjoy their misery, because I can tell you this, I am 10 more miserable right now as a Mets fan watching what they have been doing than I could ever possibly derive enjoyment from the struggles of the Yankees, as the Braves just again come in and show us that they are our daddies. If there's a Braves fan watching, you guys are our daddies. I fully admit it 100%. It has been this way my whole 30 years on this planet, and it doesn't look like it is changing at any point in time, because I came on the stream on Tuesday after the Mets beat the Braves 13-5. Multiple home runs from Pete, including the record breaker. And I said, this is a nice, fun win, but it doesn't mean jack shit if they go out and don't win at minimum 2 out of 3. I wanted the sweep after that. I wanted the freaking sweep after they beat the brakes off of Spencer Strider. That was the one game that I thought the Mets might have trouble in, but the rest they should coast in. You had Carlos Carrasco yesterday, who the Mets absolutely brutalized in the first 2 innings for 6 runs, and they still couldn't win the freaking game. And then today, Bryce Elder and his ERA above 6, just like Cookies is. And the Mets can barely get anything going. And oh, by the way, take a look at the graphic down here, because I don't know if this was mentioned on the broadcast or if you realized that the Mets 5 through 9 hitters, including a pinch hitter, I believe it would have been Starling Marte, combined to go 0 for 16 in this game. So the big guys now finally get a couple hits, get on base a couple times. Pete Alonso with the go-ahead single, Brandon Nimmo with the game-tying sacrifice fly, Francisco Lindor, of course, with his home run to get the scoring going for this team. And now the bottom of the lineup is doing what the bottom of the lineup has done basically this whole season. There was a couple week stretch there where we were bitching and moaning about the big four, the core four, and how they weren't performing. And then on a night like tonight, they're doing their thing, and the bottom of the lineup is back to being absolutely horrific. You just can't make it up. You get a good bounce back start from Kodai Senga, very nearly gets through 6 innings. You go to the bullpen, which has been fantastic, and they shit the bed. You just can't make it up. Any given night, there is a new way for this team to lose. There is a new culprit to blame. There is a new part of the team. It's either the lineup, it's either the starting pitching, or it's the relievers, or it's the defense. There is something different every night in each one of these losses, and that is the mark of a bad baseball team. I am ready to say it. This team is dead. Stick this fork in them. I am done with this 2025 team. The streams keep rolling, but I am telling you here right now, you heard it here first. I am not going to be Mr. Positive Met fan, Mr. Met. I am not. I will call it how I see it always with this team, with this franchise. They are dead. Let me go back to the chat over here. We got Sandman. Hi, Tony. What's up, man? How you doing? He says, drain the swamp, or maybe the bay. Flushing Meadow Bay might be more appropriate, because something ain't right with this team. And I have heard it before from Red Bear Fox. He has suggested it as well as some other subscribers here, that it seems this might be a more deeper rooted thing than just this actual team, just this collection of players. This could be literally an organizational thing. It just does not make sense. It boggles the mind, as they say, for this collection of players with this much talent to be doing as poorly as they have been, to lose 13 out of 15 games, and in the most excruciating, awful fashion. This could be something much more deep-rooted than just the players in that clubhouse. Armand says, per sleeper Mets offense tonight. 1 through 4 hitters, 6 through 4 for 14, 3 ribbies, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts. Everyone else 0 for 16 with 5 Ks. There you go, Armand. Exactly. Just like I have here on the graphic here below. The bottom of the lineup, once again, not getting the job done. There was a while there where the bottom of the lineup were the guys that were helping lead the charge, and it was the big guys that were not doing their thing. And then tonight, they do their thing. Bottom of the lineup sucks. Starting pitching does their thing tonight. Bullpen sucks. Yesterday, Mets offense gets it going. 6 runs at the first 2 innings, and then the starting pitching shits the bed. The other day, it was everything. It's just insane how anything that that can go wrong will go wrong with this team right now. It is Murphy's Law, and we are watching it in real time, folks. Back to the chat. Craig Bart, Terrenz Mauricio. Okay, Terrenz Mauricio should have been playing. Mets can't hit lefties and teams no. Oh, we have no chance against left-handers. It is insane. It is insane. I mean, just absolutely insane how bad Soto has been against them specifically. Pete Alonso used to feast on left-handers. Oh, by the way, again, why no Mark Vientos in this lineup? Clearly a better option, I would think, than Brett Beatty, but got to see some great defense from Brett Beatty there with the error in the 7th inning. It doesn't end up costing them, but just another wonderful, wonderful day from Brett Beatty, because I know everyone's darling child. He should definitely be the starting third baseman for this team. Not kidding me. Let's go back to the chat. Armand, I agree. Tony Vientos should have DH'd Mauricio at third tonight, 100%. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Mauricio does not hit lefties well because he's not a very good right-handed hitter, so that's the only part that I would disagree with you there, but I definitely would have had Vientos in the lineup. But at the end of the day, I mean, that would have been one different bat. Maybe it could have changed this game. It could have changed the outlook of this game, but the rest of that bottom of the lineup was just absolutely atrocious. This supposed lockdown bullpen that we just acquired at the deadline spits the bit. Rogers letting that inherited runner score. Then you have Helsley coming in the 8th inning. You knew after he threw that 3-2 pitch 10 feet over the umpire's head and to the backstop, it was about to get ugly. You just knew. And what a great cutoff in left center field by Cedric Mullins. I know he had a nice play earlier in the game as well, but great cutoff there, Cedric Mullins. And you know what? It wouldn't have mattered because it would have had second and third with one out for Ozzie Albies, who absolutely destroys us every time he gets the opportunity, because that ball is about 5 feet from going over the fence in right field. You got Juan Soto throwing it to the wrong guy on the relay back in. Maybe a chance to get Harris there at home, but you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I'm not even going to get on Soto for that. I will be getting on him later in this stream, but not for that, because you know what? This is just like the Mets should have sent Tyrone Taylor against the Guardians in that game last week. They shouldn't have sent Starling Marte against the Brewers on last Friday, and they shouldn't have sent Pete Alonso last night after it was 9-6 and the Mets were looking to rally and get back in that game. If that is how the Mets need to win games, where it's going to come down to a matter of inches or feet or little things like that, then they're just not a very good team. This is how you lose games. This is what makes a team bad. They don't do the little things right. And if you're just going to constantly try and tell me, well, if the third base coach would have sent him there or wouldn't have sent him there, or if Soto played that ball off the wall a little bit better, no. It would have been second and third with one out for Albies. This team is just a disaster, top to bottom, guys. Let me go back to the chat. Explosive Diarrhea, what's up, my man Tony? The 2025 are the 2024 D-backs, the 2025 Reds are the 2024 Mets. So Reds are off today, but they are now just a half game behind us for that wild card spot. And oh, by the way, they own the tiebreaker because they beat the brakes off of the Mets 2 out of 3 at Citi Field. We do have 3 with Cincinnati in September. That could dictate if this team makes the playoffs. I mean, we could have been sitting here today, guys, 3 games back of the Phillies if they didn't blow an astronomical lead yesterday, 6-0 to the freaking Braves, who I can't stand. 9-run inning yesterday. It's unbelievable. I feel like these guys are using buzzers against us. I'm sorry. There's just no explanation how everybody else has figured out how to beat the Braves except the Mets. It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we could have been 3 games behind if they didn't blow that game yesterday. A travesty of a game. And if they could have just found a way to win a very winnable one here tonight. Instead, we remain 5 games behind the Phillies for the National League East lead, and we are only a half game up on the wild card. Unbelievable. Sandman Games, the Super Pen looks like pig pen. LOL. 100%, man. Get back in that mud. This is ridiculous. I mean, Helsley has been bad his last 3 outings. Helsley has been really bad his last 3 outings. Spit it out on Sunday against the Brewers. Did it, I think it was again before that. And then before that, the one against the Guardians, I don't really count because he came in the 10th inning, the ghost runner whole situation. There was an error in that inning as well from Brett Beatty. Oh, shocker. Also had one tonight. So it's just been brutal. It's just been so bad. Let me go back here. Michael Sklo. Helsley is our version of Devin Williams. Hey, you know what? There's three things true in this life, guys: death, taxes, and when a new player puts on a Mets uniform, he forgets how to play baseball. He turns into a pumpkin, 100%. And I'm going to get on to one guy in particular that is looking like a pumpkin right now, and I am sick of us pretending that he doesn't. I am sick of us beating around the bush and pretending like Juan Soto hasn't had a massively disappointing, a totally hollow season for the Mets, because he has. I'm sorry. It is time we finally say it. Stop pretending like Juan Soto has not had a stat-padded, completely non-impactful first season for the Mets. He has been bad. He has. You want to look at his numbers? You want to point to his OPS? Great. Fine. Go for it. Whatever. Juan Soto has not delivered key RBIs or hits or impactful moments for this team all season long. Goes down on 3 pitches in the 8th inning there. Back to back to back sliders. What the hell happened to this guy? What happened to the dude that was hitting clutch home run and base hit and doubling the gap game after game after game for the Yankees last season? He has a hole in his bat this year, and I can't explain it. But Juan Soto has been a massive disappointment in his first year with the Mets. I'm just going to finally say it, guys. I'm sick of pretending like because he has an 860 OPS, because he's drawing a lot of walks, because he's hitting home runs. Yeah, all of them are solo home runs. Meanwhile, second and third, or 2 runners aboard yesterday after the Mets just blew their 6-0 lead and they're trailing by 3, swings at a pitch 3 feet above his freaking eyes to strike out yesterday. He has not had one big moment for this team in 2025. And I don't think it's going to happen. Honestly, I think this is just going to be his Carlos Beltran inaugural year with the Mets. For whatever reason, Mets fans have to pay the Mets tax on superstars when they come here to the 2 Queens. That first year is always just a disappointment. And I think it's time we finally call a spade in terms of Juan Soto's first year with the Mets. Massively disappointing. I said what I had to say. Joe says, or I'm sorry, Red Bear Fox says, yes, it is you, Joe. Oh my God, I'm all over the place. Helsley, the new Stanek. It's kind of looking that way. It is kind of looking that way, man. He has been brutal. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I almost would rather have Stanek in at this point. You knew, like I said, after he airmailed that ball 4 to in the 8th inning with an out, you just knew it was going to get ugly from there. You just knew. You can just read this team like a book. They are so easy to see when they are about to fold. No fight, no guts, no balls on the 2025 Mets. Stick a fork in them. That should have been the name of the title for this live stream right now. Red Bear Fox, what's up? Mauricio is showing he's a really bad hitter. He doesn't see the ball and not the ball ever. He just swings and hopes he hits it. He is overmatched for the most part, guys. We know that. We don't have a third baseman. We cannot enter next season the way we did enter this season, believing that one of those guys, Mauricio, Vientos, or Beatty, were going to be the guy. We obviously thought Vientos was going to be the guy, and that didn't work out. But we also thought we'd get strides from Beatty and Vientos. Beatty and Mauricio and Acuna. We have not. We've seen a couple of little sparks. I'd say more from Mauricio than Brett Beatty, who's just proving to be the most average of average baseball players, but probably actually a below replacement level player. Get him off this team, please. I can't wait for the tweet to come out from John Heyman this offseason. Mets have traded Brett Beatty to the Cleveland Guardians. I don't even care on the return. Make it a cash deal. Goodbye, Brett Beatty. It's time you fly off onto bigger and better things, because you can't cut it here, man. Get off of my team, Brett Beatty. Red Bear or Earl D, I don't understand how they have fallen so damn hard. No one picks up their teammates, and the Braves continue to own us. That's what makes me so mad about this week. I said after they beat Spencer Strider, there is no reason why they shouldn't sweep the rest of this series. That was going to be the toughest one against Strider, and they put 8 on his ass. And somehow we let that game get out of our grasp after scoring 6 off of Carlos Carrasco yesterday in the first 2 innings. And then today, a winnable game against Elder, who is an ERA over 6. And we somehow still find a way to lose 2 out of 3 to the floundering Atlanta Braves with a depleted lineup that doesn't include Austin Riley or feature Ronald Acuna. You just can't make it up, guys. You just can't make it up. Inventing new ways to lose since 1962, everybody. Back to the chat here. Oh, 2 Cats. Haven't seen you in a minute. What's up? I'm going to get to you here in a second. Rod says, I hate saying this, but I hope the Mets just pull on Miami and see what mommy is doing. Mommy? And see what mommy is doing. I don't know what that means. Mammy? I'm not really sure what that means. I got to be honest, Rod. Redbird Fox, I think Vientos is on the crap list of this organization 100%. There is something not right. I'd be shocked if Vientos is not also traded this offseason. I hope it's him and Beatty at this point, but I think you're onto something there, Red Bear Fox. He says, and Red Bear Fox, and with my 2 cents thrown in, I'm done watching this team for 2025. It brings me no joy, and I have better things to do with my time. I want to at least enjoy baseball. This has not been enjoyable baseball. It has not been enjoyable baseball since June. You are just sitting on pins and needles all game for the Mets. You are just waiting for the other shoe to drop just to get cold cocked in the face when you're not looking. It is just an unenjoyable time to watch the New York Mets. This team shows no fight, no passion, no heart. When they go down, you might as well turn the TV off. When they go up, if you keep that TV on, just be ready for the agita that's coming. Get your Tums ready. Terrell Owens said, get your popcorn ready when he went to Dallas. When you're watching the Mets, get your Tums ready. Get the acid controllers out. Get it all ready because you are going to be sick to your stomach by the end of it, just like we were last night and just like we were today. I'm actually pretty calm after tonight's game, which is crazy to say because I probably don't seem it to you, but this is pretty calm for me, I would say, because this is probably only the 4th or 5th worst loss of the last week that the Mets have had, which is insane that this is only the 4th or maybe 5th most painful loss that they have had in the last week. That is just how pathetic and embarrassing this Mets team has been. Guys, welcome to the channel. If you're new, I do daily Mets content, post-game recap after every single Mets game. Be sure to subscribe. Also, guys, right now, if you have not already done it, please go ahead, leave this video a like. Really appreciate it. Goes a long way toward helping me out here. You can follow me on all the other stuff, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Links to all those are in the bio. And if you want to tip the stream, keep things going here, you could do that with super chats here, or you could go to the link in the bio to the tip jar as well. Really appreciate it. All goes toward Mookie's Bone Fund, my big old German Shepherd named after Mookie Wilson, who is probably crying himself to sleep right now. Mookie's just as big a Mets fan as I am, but let's get back to the chat. Armand, Mariners are going to sweep us this weekend. Yep, probably. Logan Gilbert, or no, it was Brian Wu, is who Gary Cohen said has pitched at least 6 innings in all of his starts so far this year. Could you imagine a Mets starting pitcher doing that? Could you imagine it just happening once? Never mind every start this year. That is what Brian Wu and the Mariners have done. They got that stud George Kirby. The Mets are cooked. Ladies and gentlemen, they are going to lose this series to the Mariners. Don't be surprised if they get swept. Watch the Phillies bounce back despite losing 3 consecutive games. The Mets are done. I will say it once and I will say it again. Stick a fork in them. The 2025 Mets are done. Done. I've seen it all. Explosive diarrhea. Somewhere Buck and Epler are laughing. Yep. Well, you know what? It just kind of proves this was a deep-rooted organizational issue. They don't know how to develop position players. Their pitching obviously has not come around like they thought it would. Constant injuries, season-long ending injuries. The organization was not completely flush of all of the bad crap that was weighing it down during the Wilpon era. And I am just hoping that David Stearns and Steve Cohen realize that. Because if they think this is going to fly next year, no. Let me tell you, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Expecting different results, trying to do the same thing over and over is literally being a Mets fan. Because we're all just insane. We're all idiots for believing that this team actually was going to run away with the division, run away with a guaranteed playoff spot, make the postseason for the 2nd time in a row, for only the 3rd time in the franchise history. This is who the Mets are. LOL Mets. Welcome back, guys. It was a nice first couple months away from that, wasn't it? Well, Mets always find a way to pull you back in, right? Let's see. Gabriel, an embarrassed fan would never watch a Mets game again. I mean, I wish I had a paper bag. I really do, because that's how I might start watching Mets games on my couch. Two Cats, this team hits way too many solo homers. Sorry, I meant solo homers. Okay, I thought you were intentional. I didn't realize you did that intentionally. Way too many Soto homers. Sorry, meant solo homers. Yes, Juan Solo, Han Solo. That's what he's been dubbed as. And again, I reiterate, what a massively disappointing season it has been for Juan Soto for the first time here in the orange and blue. I'm sorry. I'm not going to just sit here and look at the 860 OPS and the walks. I'm done doing that. Name me an impactful at bat. Name me any big, meaningful, impactful at bats, big home runs, big game time, big go ahead hits that Juan Soto has had for this team. And specifically during this really, really bad stretch of baseball that, let's be honest, has now lasted 2 months. It started basically in the beginning of June, and we are halfway through August now. It's been nearly 2 full months of this crap. So name me the big hit that Juan Soto has had that could pull this team out from the doldrums that they have been suffering in, anguishing in, because he hasn't. That's just the truth of it. Sandman Games, Mets are like King Midas in reverse. Everything they touch turns to crap 100%. I have said that about my Mets. I have said that about my Jets. Everything the Mets and Jets touch turns to crap 100%. Well said, Sandman. Absolute worst team in baseball right now. I said they would only take one from Atlanta and will get swept by Seattle this weekend. I hate being right sometimes. And guys, like I said, when I'm joking around, I'm not joking around, but when I am using this prop and telling you stick a fork in them, the Mets are done in 2025. I hope I'm wrong. I would rather be wrong and happy. Yeah, okay, let me start over. I would rather be wrong and happy than to be right about this team and be miserable about them just languishing the way that they have been every day of the week. But nothing that I have seen from this team over the last 2 months has shown me that they are going to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and get back to playing winning baseball. They haven't done it once all season long, whether it has been during prolonged stretches, prolonged slumps, or even in the actual games themselves. Punched in the face, 9 runs yesterday, and we just laid there and took it. Meanwhile, the Braves down 6-0 in the second inning, and they score 11 unanswered runs, and the Mets do diddly squat the rest of the way. You can't make it up. There is something about this team that just is lacking urgency, and I don't know how to explain it anymore. Let me go back again here. Mets says gambling psychosis. I don't know what that is. In the waiting room? Oh, you're in the waiting room. Mets 1-2 way. Okay, great. We're going to try and pop you in then. So, guys, if you do want to call in to Discord and be a part of the conversation, I will take live calls, and then we're also going to listen to Carlos Mendoza and the rest of this just absolutely brutal group of baseball players and see what they have to say about another horrific, terrible, ugly, gross loss. So let's take a look here. I think we do have somebody in this waiting room, but just give me a second. Guys, sound off in the chat. How are you feeling about this team right now? Because I'm sorry, if you ask me right now, and if you ask me even this time last week, I don't think this team is making the playoffs. I think they are cooked. I think they are done. I don't see how it turns around. Again, if it's not the offense one day, it's the starting pitching not getting the job done. If it's not the starting pitching, it's the bullpen. If it's not any of those things, it's a fielding error. It's not sending a runner at third base coming around to try and score. It is always some new creative, horrible way to lose, and I am just so sick of it. So we are going to go to our first caller here. And again, guys, if you do want to call into the show, you can do that. Just go to the link in the description of this video to Discord, and I will pop you in when I am ready to take calls, and that time is right now. So let's go to our first caller, and that is Mets 123. I think it is something like that. What is on your mind? You are on the show. Let's hear what you got. Mets 2128. You're muted. We need you to unmute your mic. There we go. Mets 2128. You're on the show. What's going on? What do you got on your mind?
If there's one linchpin to all this crap that's happened the last 2 months and why the Mets have lost 33 of their last 52, it's Mendoza himself with his idiotic overanalyzing and needless gambling in game.
All right, so give me, what did he gamble on here today that you took a problem with?
I mean, sure, on paper, Hesley would be the right choice, but he's been horrible in his first two appearances. I would have gone to Soto. Out of your acquisitions at the deadline, he's been the best pitcher to call on out of the bullpen.
100%. And off also what you could have done there is it gone to Diaz, because Olsen was just retired there for the final out in the 7th inning, but the Braves still had the 3, 4, 5 hitters, including Michael Harris, who gets that game-tying double and absolutely killed us this entire series. So I'm with you. He could have done a lot of different things. He could have went to Soto, like you said. He could have went to Diaz. But at the end of the day, this team also doesn't hit. So it's like a catch-22.
Again, and also, lately, plate discipline has been lacking. There's only one damn inning this team stacked Bryce Elder's pitch count, the 6th. Every other inning, it was tactical tunnel vision at the plate. Stack that count. Stop gambling and chasing every first effing pitch.
100%. Only 87 pitches through 7 innings for Bryce Elder tonight. We knew it'd be tough with a left-hander, but again, this is a guy with an ERA over 6, and the Mets still cannot find a way to get through against him. They still can't find a way to give themselves more than a 1-run cushion there heading into the 8th inning. Let me ask you this before I let you go, Mets 2-1-2 wait. What is your opinion on this team? Are they making the playoffs?
Barely at best, but that's only if, one, they get rid of that dumbass sandal they're using for home runs, and 2, if Mendoza gets his head out of his ass and quits overanalyzing shit.
Well, guys, you heard it there.
All been gambling since June 13th.
You heard it there, guys. Mets 2128 says the Mets only are going to make
put to disciplinary actions.
You gotta give the dog his disciplinary actions, he says. Look, guys, I'm with him, and thanks for the call, 2128. I appreciate it, man, really. Guys, if you want to do the same and be a part of this conversation, go to Discord right now. Phone lines are open. Look, he's not wrong about anything he said. He could have went to Soto there. You had a couple lefties coming up in that at-bat. You turn Ozzie Albies around to the right side as well, who's a much weaker hitter from the right side than he is from the left side. There were a lot of different ways, but I'm not going to pin the blame on Carlos Mendoza in this one. I am not. I know he could have done things a little bit differently. At the end of the day, they continue to lack urgency. They continue to be lethargic at the plate. They let Bryce Elder just cut them apart any which way possible. Like he said, great point there by Mets 2128. Elder keeping a low pitch count, just 87 pitches through 7 innings against the Mets. The lone blemish being that solo home run from Francisco Lindor, and then the sacrifice fly and the other run there coming in off of an error from Atlanta. Just an embarrassing performance from this team top to bottom in terms of their lineup, in terms of their ability to add runs on it. I just can't explain it anymore at this point, guys. There's just no explanation for how bad this team has been. It could be a manager thing, maybe. It really could be as deep as that maybe it really is an issue with Mendoza and the messaging going into this team, into this clubhouse, because the fall from grace that they have had is just truly unbelievable. We are going to listen in to what Mendy had to say. But guys, if you do want to call into the show like Mets fan 2128 just did, you can still do that. I will monitor the lines, and if we have your calls, I will put you in, and you could say anything you want about the Mets. Me personally, I think they're dead. I think it is over. But let's hear what Carlos Mendoza had to say about another just great performance from his 8th inning setup man, Ryan Hesley.
Carlos, what have you been seeing out of Helsley these last few, especially with his fastball getting hit the way it's been?
Yeah, so the fastball's been getting hit, and it's a plus fastball, right? But I think he's leaving that slider in the middle of the strike zone. That's kind of like the big difference for me.
It's leaving everything in the middle of the strike zone.
Today to Harris, that slider. And, I mean, they're going to get ready for 100, and then when that slider staying right there in the middle of the zone, good hitters are going to make him pay for it. So we just got to get him to, continue to finish those pitches, especially the breaking ball.
See, this ain't working for me anymore, Carlos. I have had Mendoza's back for a long time, and I have said, look, he's not the one in the batting box swinging the bat. He's not the one on the mound. He's not the one out there with a glove on his hand. But we got to stop with this messaging of we got to get him going. We got to get him going. We just got to continue to. We got to continue to. That's what he loves to say. We got to continue to give this message, continue to try to get better. I need to hear something else, or you are going to lose me, Carlos Mendoza. You are going to lose me as someone that has defended you for most of this really bad stretch. You need to do something. I think it's time you finally speak to your players through the media. I'm sorry. I know he comes from the Aaron Boone school of coddling his players, but it is time to send a message through the media. This is unacceptable. We have lost 13 of 15 games. We are 19-32 over our last 51 games. This is unacceptable, given the expectations from this fan base, given the support that we have received from this ownership in terms of financial, including the record-setting salary once again for this team. This is not acceptable. I want to hear that from this manager, or he is going to lose me soon. Let me go back to the chat real quick and also check in on Discord, see if we got anybody in here. Doesn't look like it at the moment, but guys, again, if you do want to join the conversation, you can do that. You can hop into my Discord. This is exactly how it looks, and then I just pull you in from the waiting room here into on air. So really good call there from 212. Wait, that was awesome, man. I appreciate you doing that. Guys, this is just bad times. Bad times. I didn't think it could get worse than it did in June, but here we are. Let me go back to the chat. We got a couple here that I got to catch up on. Rod says, I can't wait for the Mets to get embarrassed in front of the future of the MLB on Sunday. Yep. Oh, my goodness. I forgot. It is the Big League Classic or whatever they call it out in Williamsport. This is going to be awesome because the Mets could probably find a couple players from those little league teams that could pick up some spots on their roster. 100%. You could swap out Brett Beatty with little Jimmy Johnson over at third base. You could probably get another guy to play outfield for them in center. Maybe little Billy Whitaker. That would be a really good recruiting trip for the Mets on Sunday at the Little League Big Classic or whatever the hell they call it. My goodness, kids, shield your eyes. You do not want to watch the Mets play baseball this weekend. They are a train wreck. Everything you see the Mets do at that Little League Classic, do the exact opposite because this team sucks. Let me go back to the chat. Michael Sklo says, we make pitchers with a 6 ERA look like Paul Skeens. Yep, it's a tale as old as time with this franchise. Doesn't matter their numbers. When they hit that mound at Citi Field or they see the orange and blue, they are going to absolutely dominate the Mets. It just never ends. Let me see. Mark, well, had my stress today and the game didn't help. I hear you, Mark. I did not have a very great day personally myself either, and I just got a double dose of it getting to sit down and watch the Mets. Real great stuff. Two Cats, if Atlanta was 13-149 on the season, they'd be 13-0 against the Mets with all 13 wins on the season against them. It's just insane. It is insane that Atlanta could be as bad as they are this year, and we have watched other teams beat the snot out of them, but when they come to play the Mets, oh boy, guys, let me tell you, it is like the reincarnation of Andrew Jones, Chipper Jones, that whole team. Brian, what's his fuck? You know, the dude in left field that killed us. It never ends against the Braves. Two Cat, Mark's, God, I'm losing my crap here, guys. Michael says, Mets are 2-15 since the sandal celebration. Snap that sandal in half. If I'm Carlos Mendoza, that's what I'm doing. I am running into that clubhouse. I am snapping it over my knee or over a locker. The fun and games are over. No more gimmicks. This sandal is also bad luck, by the way, and I'm pretty superstitious, so I would be doing that 100%, Michael. Good call. Two Cats. Juan Soto has hit 29 home runs this season. 65 of them have been solo home runs. Oh, my God. 29 home runs, and he has, what, 29 RBIs, right? Something like that. Just insane. Sandman Game says 7 lines straight to the golf course. Yes, sir. 4. Let's go. Hit them straight, boys. Well, the Mets probably can't do that either. Maybe Jeff McNeil could because he's a good golfer because he probably works on golf more than he actually does on being a good second baseman for this team. Everybody's catching strays tonight, guys. I don't care. Everybody is open for business, in my opinion, on this team and in this front office. Jimmy James C. Soto gets so many chances to come up big all the time and never delivers. I think I remember one clutch hit the entire year from him. Yeah, he had a base hit against the Cardinals to tie a game, and that was really it. That was back in May, and honestly, other than that, I have not seen much clutch from Juan Soto at all. And like I said, I'll double down on it. Juan Soto's been a massive disappointment in his first year here in Queens. Two Cats Brewers were 9.5 games behind the Mets at one time. They are now 12 games ahead, 21.5 games lost on the Brewers. My goodness, I cannot believe that's a real stat. The Mets were 8.5 ahead of Milwaukee and are now 12 games behind. That is a 21.5 game differential, a 21.5 game slide from the Mets to the Brewers, who obviously we don't have our sights set on. No chance we could ever catch them at this point. They beat us just like crazy this weekend, but my goodness, just unbelievable stuff. I got to get down to this chat, guys. I am sorry. I am just trying to catch up on it all. 99/22. Honestly, if Spencer Strider wasn't Frankie Montes, we could have got the sweep. Jimmy James C. Drink every time Mendoza says we've got to keep going. That's the problem. I'd be absolutely wasted off my ass. I'd be dead. I'd probably be puking in the toilet if I had to take a shot every time Carlos Mendoza uttered that phrase. Sutta Muzik, the lights are too bright for Helsley in New York City. Clearly something ain't right with this dude. I mean, like I said, you get a guy, he puts on a Mets uniform, he turns to shit. Let's see. It is Mendoza. He says Red Bear Fox can't go to Soto. He's pitched too much recently. 99/22. Mendoza and Boone are the same. Red Bear Fox says he's pitched the last 2 games before tonight. Yeah, that is true. Good point there. Forgot about that in reference to Mets 2128's phone call. But Joe says Gilbert Gottfried. Who about Gilbert Gottfried? I love him. R.I.P. Jimmy James C. You can only give Mendoza so many passes. He's leading the team as a manager. How are you going to fire this team up already? Seriously, it is about time. Like I said, I have lost my patience with everybody. I have defended Mendoza to this point, but now I need to start hearing him sing a different tune, because this whole gotta get him going kind of crap is just unacceptable now. Irv Wallace says was better with Jose Iglesias and without Soto. Crazy to say, but sad truths. Red Bear Fox batting average against Helsley's fastball this season is .408, worst in baseball. Here's an idea. Don't throw it then. Even though you could dial it up to 100, it's flat as a string. Clearly, these guys are geared up and can hit 100, even in the top of the zone. Tried to throw that one past whoever it was that he walked, and he absolutely airmailed it 10 feet over the umpire's head. Red Bear says, why not hear how it is unacceptable from the owner? Cohen babies these clown players too. Now, I can't get on Cohen for not jumping in and doing something. I mean, he's the owner. He has to trust the baseball people he has put in place. And I don't know what he could do other than stepping in and firing somebody. And I don't think any of us want a George Steinbrenner kind of situation on our hands. Obviously, we want the championships, but guess what? The Yankees 90s dynasty was when George Steinbrenner was suspended from baseball, when he was exiled. And the Yankees baseball people actually took over and did their thing. Gene Stick, Michael, and a young Brian Cashman. So I personally don't want a meddling owner. I have that already with the New York Jets. Look how far that has gotten them over the last 60 years. What about the Knicks with James Dolan and all the issues that they had for almost 20 years from the year 2000 until 2020, 2018? Think about that situation. So I don't want a meddling owner, but I understand the frustration. But honestly, all Cohen can do is hire the baseball people to do their job, and that's it. That is it. It comes down to the guys in the dugout. It comes down to the guys making the managerial moves. It comes down to the general manager and the scouts finding the right players to construct a winning roster. And I feel like at this point, they have failed on all 3 of those things, and it's just not working out. Jimmy James C. Armand says baseball managers don't speak out about players in the media this generation. I mean, rarely, if ever. It is just the old school manager is gone that is going to call out his players. It is just completely gone. Armand says sign Big Al for DH if he hits dingers. Big Al, it's the Little League Classic. Yeah, thank you. Joe says team lacks gamers 100%. I thought Juan Soto was a gamer. Clearly has proven not to be so far this year. Armand says per Will Salmon, over the last 15 games, the Mets are 2-13. It's their worst record to a 15-game span since a stretch in May/June of 2018. The good old Mickey Callaway era. Yep. that is where we are at, guys. Just absolutely horrific. Guys, again, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Daily Mets content, post-game recap after every Mets game, or at least the ones I could stomach and don't feel like I need to punch a hole in the wall like yesterday's game. That one just ended late. That's why I didn't get to it. But be sure to subscribe, and please leave this video a like. Go ahead and do that right now if you have not already. Really appreciate that from you. If you do want to call in and be a part of the show, I'm still taking those calls on Discord. I don't think we have any at the moment. Oh, we do. Look at this. We got Hot Rod in here. So let's go to Hot Rod and see what he has to say. Hot Rod, you're on the line, man. What's on your mind? Make sure you unmute your mic there, Rod.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We got you, Rod. What's on your mind, man?
All right. Before I start rambling on, I would like to say the Mets should really invest in signing some kids from Connecticut. That Connecticut team, please. Just sign those kids, please.
Okay.
Anyways.
Why is that? Elaborate for me.
At least it would be better than what we have right now.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, now let me get on. Our biggest problem with the Mets right now is consistency. It's been a problem this entire season. They have not been consistent. That is our biggest problem. It has always been our biggest problem. If the starting pitching gets into a rhythm, then the hitting just dies down. If the hitting gets into a rhythm, then the pitching dies down. We need a balanced consistency. If we don't, then we're never going to win a game. Never.
No, 100%. And I guess the question is, look, the fat lady's been warming up. She's singing almost at this point. The season's got 40 games left. What do? How do they get more consistent? Because at this point, I haven't seen it from any of the three facets of this team. The pitching, the fielding, the hitting, the bullpen, if you want to throw it in too. It's separate starting from bullpen. Let me ask you, how did they fix that at this point in the season?
They fix it by, I think, just going old school. Playing old school, screw the fun, and just go old school.
Yeah, I mean, look, something's got to give, and I like the way you put it, go old school, because that's what I want to hear from Carlos Mendoza at this point. I want to hear him call out his team for how poorly they have been performing, whether it's at the plate, whether it's the bullpen, whether it's the starting pitching. It has just been unacceptable. Laying down some bunts, how about that? Try to manufacture some runs. Do something different, because what you've been doing is clearly not working. So I am there with you, Rod. Real quick before I let you go, Rod, do the Mets make the playoffs in 2025?
No. And it pains me to say no.
And what is going to be
they are not going to make it.
What is going to be the biggest reason for why they don't make it?
I think it's right now, I mean, once I saw the mostly like yesterday's game, when I saw the 6-0 when they blew it, I at that moment I just gave up. I knew that something will always be wrong, and they will continue to somehow just lose games. And at this point, just I don't know.
Yeah,
it's uncontrollable right now until something has to change. Something has to change.
Something definitely has to change, Rod, and it really is unfathomable. And thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. This has just become almost like a joke at this point. The Mets have found just new, painful, horrible ways to lose during this stretch, and something has to change, or they are not making the playoffs. And I am siding with you there, Rod. I don't think this team is making the playoffs at this point. I think they're done. I think they're cooked. I think they're just absolutely out of it. They don't seem to care, and like I said, stick a fork in them. So consistency, huge issue, and Rod just brought it up about how they don't hit and then they pitch, but they pitch and then they don't hit. Here's what Carlos Mendoza had to say about the Mets being able to put everything together.
It seemed like you guys were just finding ways to win games, like you very scrappy, just figuring it out. Lately, it's kind of been the opposite. I think you've lost 13 out of the last 15. Have you seen any common threads? Is there anything that you've noticed that maybe is lacking with the team? Or
I wouldn't say lacking. We just haven't been able to put everything together, you know. Whenever we're getting the offense, we're not getting starting pitching. Today we got starting pitching. We got some timely hitting, even though we didn't create much traffic, but then we couldn't close it out. So when you're going through stretches like this, that's because you can start being, pointing fingers here. But I think it's just overall, we haven't been able to put it together consistently.
But this isn't just a stretch anymore, Carlos. This isn't just a stretch. This is 2 months. This is since June. This is who this team has been for nearly 50% of their games. And we saw some of the warts even in the first 2 months of the season, despite winning ball games. We saw their struggles with runners in scoring position. We saw their starters not giving them much length. And now those issues are coming home to roost. And this is just who they have been. This is no longer just a stretch. 13 of 15 after the horrible stretch that they had at the end of June leaking into July. This is just who this team has been for nearly the majority of the season. And there's really nothing you could do because you can't change the roster. You can't make Brett Beatty and Ronnie Mauricio and Mark Vientos all break out. It just is what it is, and that is why I'm almost just at apathy, and I just don't think that this team is going to the playoffs in 2025. I can't believe I'm saying that, and Armand agrees with me. He says Mets won't make the playoffs. It's looking more and more like that by the day. Another wasted opportunity. Phillies losing today. Obviously, they lost yesterday, but Mets also blew a 6-0 lead, and so we are still 5 games back and clinging to a half-game lead for the final wild card spot. Biggest payroll in the history of the sport, 3 consecutive years, and the Mets are just hoping to get the final wild card spot after at one point being 23 games over 500. Didn't ever think that I'd be saying this, but here we are, guys. Irv Wallace, looking back at it, might have been better to re-sign Pete and use Soto money on Bregman, Tucker, and better starting pitchers in free agency. I mean, I've said it before. I think Juan Soto signing was Steve Cohen's doing. He was not going to be outbid for his white whale. He got Soto, but then there was a cap to how much more that Stearns could spend. And Stearns couldn't do anything more. I really, truly believe that to be the case. I could be wrong, but yeah, when you look at it, when you look at the production or lack thereof from Soto, especially in big key spots, would have probably been wiser to spread the wealth a little bit more. Starting pitching, maybe a little more in the pen, though that came into the season looking like it was going to be strong before they were derailed by injuries, but obviously the rest of this lineup has just been a massive disappointment as well. Haven't gotten the strides that we thought we would get from the young guys. It is becoming an absolute shit show in Metsland once again, everybody. Armand says, in my opinion, Hefner, Chavez, and Barnes have to be fired at the end of the season. There's got to be a shakeup with the coaching staff. This has got to be like Valentine's Day massacre all over again, where they stripped all of Bobby Valentine's coaching staff out from under him in the middle of the season, and they went on to make a playoff run that year. I'm not saying that'll be the case if they do that with firing Chavez and Barnes and Hefner, but I think there's got to be changes, major changes, and when that happens, it also is going to put Mendoza on a burning red hot seat as well entering 2026. Not always the best thing to do. Not always what you want to do is have people feeling under pressure entering a new season, but also sometimes it does work. And honestly, this team needs a kick in the ass, and that might be the way to approach it. Rob says, sad part, my Phillies are just as bad. No, they're not. I mean, I've said it all year. I don't think the Phillies are a great baseball team. They will mash their way to wins. They do have very solid starting pitching. They fixed that bullpen a little bit, but I just think fundamentally they're not all too great, and I do think that if their offense isn't mashing, then they're striking out a ton. That being said, dude, you got a 5-game lead. We have lost 13 of 15. You guys are looking light years ahead of where the Mets are right now. Jimmy James C says, not only is Soto not clutch, but all the guys who were clutch last year now are not clutch. Lindor, Vientos. I mean, Lindor has been brutal for 2 months this year, and he's come around a little bit in this series versus Atlanta, but still, the Mets lose 2 out of 3. And again, I say it, that is the mark of a bad baseball team, guys, when it is a different culprit every night, whether it's the pen, the starters, the lineup. That is the mark of a bad baseball team. It is just crazy to watch. Armand, Mets did not have a major league players to trade for Tucker, and Stearns is not spending big money on pitching in free agency. Well, I hope this is a learning lesson for David Stearns, because you may have to start spending a little bit more than on the Griffin Cannings and the Frankie Montoses of the world, because look at how far that has got us. We are in absolute disarray, and I know Stearns thinks he is the smartest guy in the room, but it has not panned out this year. Let's take a look. What are some of the additions that he made this offseason? Jose Siri has not played basically all year. He re-signed Jesse Winker, who has now spent probably 90 or maybe even more than that, 100 games on the injured list this year. He has not gotten, or AJ Minter is done for the season. Griffin Canning obviously was really solid, started to tail off before the Achilles injury. Frankie Montas has been bounced out of the Mets rotation. David Stearns didn't hit on anything this offseason. Meanwhile, lets Harrison Bader go to Minnesota, who's now playing for the Phillies. He's having a really great season. He let Jose Iglesias go. I can't sit here and say that Iglesias was going to replicate the magic he had last year, but clearly he seemed like a bit of a linchpin in this locker. And I know he's not playing well for San Diego, but that might have been a missed opportunity there as well. He let Jose Quintana go to Milwaukee, who's having a much better season than Frankie Montas is in the Mets rotation. Doing that for the best team in baseball right now. You think the Mets could use some Jose Quintana right now? Luis Severino got paid by Oakland. He has had struggles if you just look at his line, but they're mainly all attributed to him pitching in that minor league park, because when he's on the road, he's been tremendous. It wasn't broken last year, so why try to fix it? And that is an indictment on David Stearns, 100%. Let's see. Checking the Discord. I don't have any calls in there, guys. If you do want to make a call, I still got a little bit of time, but I'm going to be wrapping it up here soon. So if you do want to call into the show, you go ahead and do that right now. Go to the link in my bio in the video of this description, the description of this video. Sorry, the Mets have literally turned my brain to mush, and I will pop you in here before we wrap things up. But it is not looking good. And then, oh yeah, there's another one, Strike Blitz. Manaya, who was signed to a 3-year, $75 million contract, spent the first 3 months on the injured list. Great. So it's been a majorly disappointing ride here for the Mets so far, guys. Let's listen to one more quote here, and then I'm going to check and see if there are any more calls in Discord. Again, if you do want to call in and be part of the show, go ahead and do that right now. But before that, let's hear what Carlos Mendoza had to say about, I don't even know. Let's just listen.
Because you're a half game ahead of the Reds, and you had a chance and they lost. How concerned are you about your team?
I mean, obviously, we're not playing well, but too much talent. You know, we're going through a very tough time right now. But
when's it gonna show?
There's a lot of good players there, and we just gotta get through this. We can't be looking at the standing. You know, we're not where we at. We haven't played well, but we're still pretty much right in the thick of things. So.
Yeah, in the thick of things, at the bottom of the toilet. We are in the thick of a shit-filled toilet right now, Carlos. That's what we're in the thick of. Because we have just watched as our best record in the National League has dropped to a half-game lead for the final wild card spot. So you want to keep throwing the cliches? Great. We all see what's happening, and I know he's trying to pump belief into his team, but sometimes you need to punch that biting dog. Or whatever that phrase is. I don't even know. I think it was in Better Call Saul or something. A dog that bites its owner needs to be dealt with a stiff hand. Something like that. That kind of works, right? That's what the Mets need. He needs to be a little more. I need to see something. I need to hear something from Carlos, or he is going to lose me. But guys, you're going to lose me yourselves, because that is going to do it. There is no one waiting in the Discord to make another call, but I do appreciate getting the calls there from Rod and from Mets2128. Those were both awesome. Appreciate that. That's what we do here on the channel. If you guys are new, be sure to subscribe. Please leave this video a like if you have not already. Go ahead and do that right now. Really appreciate it. For daily Mets content, post-game recap after every game. Typically here, this is where I would preview the next game for the Mets, but I'm done. I can't. I am Metsed out for the night. I am just looking forward to Friday tomorrow until about 7 p.m. when the Mets throw the first pitch. But we're going to skip the preview for tomorrow's game. But guys, I do appreciate all of you being here in the chat. We'll be back with another post-game recap tomorrow after the Mets and Mariners. Hopefully the Mets get a win. They're probably not, but hopefully they do. So be sure to tune in for that. But thank you to everyone who commented. Thank you to everyone who called Rod and Mets2128. And thank you to everyone who didn't comment or call, but just was tuning in and watching. Tough times for the Mets, guys. Hopefully that they can still turn it around. Time is ticking, though. So we shall see as they begin their series with Seattle beginning tomorrow. Thank you all once again. Until tomorrow, though, I'm Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange.